Hi, we'd like to recommend a channel called Sweet Lady Siberia run by our Russian friends. They make awesome videos full of drifting, excitement, unforgettable emotions, and featuring lovely Russian ladies. New episodes come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Hurry up and click the link and subscribe to their channel. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date with new episodes. Hey there, fellas. Okay, have I got some good news for you. We've acquired a new guinea pig. It used to be a really nice example, but even now it's basically a Mercedes. So in today's episode, we'll be giving the people what they want and using some of this stuff. As you can see, laid out on the hood, we've got a good amount of super glue. Our viewers keep asking that we fill an engine with super glue. Sure thing. After all, we do have a car. Nobody's stopping us from taking this super glue and pouring it into this engine. We'll be pouring it straight into the cylinders as opposed to the crankcase. Straight into the combustion chambers. So we remove the spark plugs, apply that crazy glue, and see what happens. But first we start the engine and check to see how it runs. Amazingly enough, it actually sounds pretty good. Then we extract the plugs, pour in that glue, and after that we see just how crazy this glue really is. Alright, let's do this. For an older Lada, I reckon this will definitely do. There you go. It runs nicely. No coughing noises or misfiring. No violent shaking. Yeah, this is good. This motor is 100% fully functional. Now we just switch it off, and the fun begins. We just need to extract the spark plugs and pour in that super glue. Let's go! So each cylinder now has a couple of tubes worth of glue inside. And only now have I decided to read the instructions. Curious to know what's written on the package? Let me read it to you. So you need to press together whatever you're gluing for 5 to 60 seconds. And the item you're gluing is immediately fit for use. Okay, then let's stick the plugs back in and begin use. Alright, the glue is in there, we've reinstalled the plugs. We're definitely past the 5 to 60 second threshold at this point. Let's give this a try. And nothing has happened. Like literally nothing. The engine runs just like it used to. Just as smoothly. Without any noises that would be out of place. There is a bit of... Oh wow, that smell coming from the exhaust pipe. Shut it off. What a terrible stench. But nothing really happened to the motor, which happily fired up and ran for a bit. I reckon we pour in some more of that super glue and just leave the car to sit here for a good 5 to 6 hours, maybe even 7 to 8, or just leave it here for the entire day. That should be enough for the glue to dry, and that's when we try firing it up to see what this glue is worth. Will it be able to stick the pistons in place? We'll find out in no time. Let's do this. And just like that, tomorrow is upon us. It's all very simple. The car is sitting in the same spot it was before. We didn't even put the spark plugs back in. They're right here, actually. The spark plugs. So this time we put in 5 packets per cylinder. The reason we didn't try starting it yesterday was in the sheer volume. We had absolutely no idea how long it'd take for the glue in that state to fully dry out. So we decided to play it safe and give it a bit more time to sit. And now the only thing left to do would be to fit the spark plugs and attempt to fire up the engine. What do you guys think is going to happen? This was a suggestion from our viewers, so why don't you pause the video and tell us what you think? Okay, let's put the plugs back in and try starting the motor. Let's do this. Alright, so the plugs are back in. We've attached the ignition leads. Our goal is to get this engine to run. Turn the key. You have got to be kidding me. We killed the motor with some super glue. No luck at all? The pulley ain't moving even the slightest. Well, guys, there you have it. We did assume from the very start that, since the cylinder walls are covered in oil, you are meant to remove any grease before you try gluing something together. I mean, you guys know how to use glue. Unfortunately, there was no way for us to degrease the cylinders, so we poured the glue in with no prep, and the pistons are stuck nonetheless. Looks like the starter motor is unable to get the engine to move. This is where we bring together the entire crew. Alright, let's go. Try now. Come on, babe. This isn't working. Really? I think we should have loaded up the car. Okay, we've chucked a gearbox into the trunk, got a few passengers in the rear seat, and now we try again. This simply isn't working. Period. That was a lot of fun, but we didn't get anywhere. Let's bring it back into the shed and figure out what to do. We are super curious to have a look inside the cylinders. And we've got this device for peeking. Oh wow, Ivan, are you seeing this? The puddle? Yeah, the puddle. And it's actually got some cracks in it. See that? So the glue did harden, and it looks as if we filled the cylinders with epoxy. Those cracks probably formed when we were trying to get it to move. The piston tried working its way up, but the super glue was keeping it in place. Let's look into the other cylinder, where the piston is almost all the way up. Holy cow! Oh my god, isn't that a beautiful sight? Just like in that other one, it's all frozen up in here. Yeah, fellas, it's quite a shit show in there. So a thought occurred to us. This stuff right here should help us. It's a special compound that thins out dry glue. We've bought. Honestly, we poured in 5 tubes per cylinder. Of glue, I mean. But this glue thinner, we've got 4 per cylinder. 4 of these tubes. You see, the thing is that not too many stores keep the right amount in stock. But we were able to find a good store where they had this much. We grabbed everything and rushed back to the shed. Okay then. Let's try using this anti-glue to unstick our pistons, yeah? We doing this? Alright, so we've applied that anti-glue. Let's see how well that compound works. We did use a large amount of glue initially, so it's gonna have a pretty hard time. Then again, I'm guessing we should just wait a tad longer. Alright, so here's what we should be prepared for. The thing is that it's already dark outside, so dragging the car around like we did and filming that process is not gonna be an option. But we do have other options. For example, we can remove that radiator. After all, we do have all the necessary sockets, extensions and everything like that. We will try unsticking the engine using that starter motor, but if that doesn't work, we slap together a handy tool, fit it to that poor little crankshaft nut, which holds the pulley in place, and begin to... I'd say it's been about 15 minutes. If the instructions tell the truth, it should already be doing its thing. That's a dangerous place to put it. We'll begin by using the starter motor. Is anything going to happen? Nothing whatsoever, but we do have a buddy in the house. He's a cool dude. All we need to do is... So far, no progress.
Так. Ну вот.
Oh, for crying out loud. That wasn't the nut. I think we actually broke the crank.
Да. Сам хвостовичок вот этот.
That threaded snout,
который накручивался.
which you screw the nut onto, we broke it. One day later.
Ну вот, ребят, значит,
Alright, fellas, so after we broke off a piece of the crank,
коленвала
after pouring some glue thinner into the cylinders,
прошло. Блин.
I'd say all of that happened about 12 hours ago.
Будем.
And now it's time to take another crack at this.
Все, блин. Давай!
1, 2, 3.
Давай!
That was a good workout for the entire crew,
Хорошо.
though it might have turned out to be a bit pointless.
Ну что?
Let's take it apart then?
Всё,
Okay, fellas, playtime is over. It's time to dismantle that engine. Alright, fellas, so after removing the cylinder head, this is what we see. It's a beautiful sight indeed. A glue painting, if you will. The glue actually spread all around the cylinders, and it's rock hard. Seriously, it's as if someone poured in some epoxy. But here's what really matters. That gel, the anti-glue compound that we added later in order to slightly soften up the glue, well, it didn't really spread out. We squeezed it through the spark plug holes, and it sort of just splattered wherever it did, as opposed to evenly spreading out over the entire surface. But what's really interesting is that underneath the spots where the glue thinner was able to make it, the glue is actually soft. Meanwhile, at the edges where it didn't make it to, the glue is still rock hard. The anti-glue didn't really work. So it looks like we're gonna have to remove everything manually. Right, Ivan. Let's try doing this with the starter. Nope. Well, I'll be.
Нет, она сильно.
Nah, man, it's a bit too small.
Можно.
I'm afraid it might go straight through the piston. This turned out to be one hell of a task. (143°C). 320. Let's go. Didn't even budge? Alright, fellas, we really have no idea how to get this engine to rotate. The car is up on a hoist, and I've stuck a tire iron into the elastic coupling, while Ivan's gonna grab the pulley using a pipe wrench. We will keep trying, and hopefully the car doesn't fall down on us. The engine is just jumping around. I take it we're not going to get anywhere with this. I totally understand. Our viewers do have a great sense of humor, but this is a bit much. Time to remove the oil pan? Let's do just that. There has to be something we can do to unstick this engine. It moved? I see, it was going well, but it didn't last long. It popped out. Alright fellas, we tried everything we could, ranging from the softer and more gentle methods to outright barbaric means, but ultimately we were able to extract the pistons. What do we see here exactly? Well, it's quite interesting. The superglue, just as we expected, with it being liquid, it found its way in between the piston and the cylinder wall. We did wait for a while, and it made it past the first piston ring even. Naturally, with this engine having seen quite some mileage, I mean, it is way beyond its break-in period. So anyway, the glue made it past the first ring, the second one, all the way down to the third piston ring, and stuck everything together. As for the total surface area we had covered in glue, it was substantial. We're talking about a height of over 25 mil. As for our initial assumptions, our hopes that the cylinder walls would be covered in an oil film that wouldn't allow the glue to stick, they were unfounded. You saw what really happened. If you're aware of the finer details as to how superglue works, hit us up in the comments. I'm really curious to read how it was able to glue two metal surfaces together despite there being oil. Aluminum on one side and iron on the other? Seriously, how did the glue get them to stick like that? Oftentimes when you're gluing stuff together, it just falls apart despite your best efforts. But here we are after pouring some into the engine and seeing such an amazing effect. Big thanks to whoever suggested we do this. Had us busy for a good couple of days. Did we bend the conrod? You guys heard it. It's still fit for use. In all seriousness, though, I'm not sure whether you can see it, but from where I'm standing, it is definitely noticeable. Alright guys, we're looking at a 107% success rate here. You wanted to see what had happened? You got what you wanted. We just need to put the engine back together. We would like to get it to run. This is going to involve cleaning any glue from the pistons, rings and all of that, reassembling everything, which I don't think anybody is really interested in seeing. So I suggest we call it, and leave it at the obvious. Don't go pouring superglue into your engine. Otherwise, those pistons are going to get stuck. And you're going to have to take the engine apart. You saw it all for yourselves, and that's all I have for you. Watch us, subscribe, and keep those suggestions coming. Comment, give us a big thumbs up. Alright, catch you later.